A Wanderer Satirical Transmission, The Church of Perpetual Justice, or Saints of Spectacle. Prologue.
There exists in a spiral arm not particularly famous for wisdom, a civilization that made one small mistake. They listened to Earth, not to its quiet conversations, not to its libraries or long patient philosophies. They intercepted the broadcasts, the loud ones, the heroic ones, the ones with dramatic music, the ones where cities explode every 17 minutes. And after careful study, they concluded something extraordinary. This must be how advanced civilizations govern themselves.
Act 1. The Discovery.
Their scholars gathered in great amphitheaters to study the transmissions. There were films of masked defenders launching themselves through buildings. There were news loops of commentators describing everything as urgent. There were endless images of people announcing moral emergencies in front of cameras. The scholars took meticulous notes. They charted patterns. They noticed that every crisis produced a new hero, and every hero produced a larger crisis. This, they reasoned, must be the leadership cycle of Earth. One senior philosopher summarized the discovery elegantly. Earth governance appears to function through theatrical intervention. The others nodded gravely.
Act 2. The Imitation.
Once the principle was understood, implementation began immediately. They created an order of protectors. The rescuer's trademark. The trademark symbol was added because Earth used it often. They believed this meant sacred. First came Captain Tremendous Impact. His role was simple. When confronted with a problem, he would collide with it, preferably at high speed. This produced enormous structural damage, which confirmed that the crisis had been addressed. Next came Lady Infinite Concern. She appeared during disasters and publicly expressed deep emotional distress. Often she cried. Sometimes she apologized. Occasionally she announced investigations into the problem she had accidentally started. Then there was the algorithm. This one was fascinating. The algorithm did nothing unless a sufficient number of citizens were talking about the crisis. If attention dropped below a critical threshold, the problem was quietly ignored. Scholars found this elegant. It meant that reality itself could be filtered by popularity. Finally, there was Justice Hawk Ultra. He arrived dramatically after disasters concluded. He explained who was to blame. Usually enemies, sometimes gravity.
Act 3. The Society of Spectacle.
Soon the civilization reorganized itself around the rescuers. Emergency temples were built. Broadcast shrines appeared on every street corner. Citizens gathered daily to watch problems unfold in real time. Infrastructure began to fail. But this was encouraging. Failures created excellent emergencies. Emergencies created excellent hero appearances. Hero appearances created excellent ratings. The civilization became extremely busy. Problems were constantly addressed. Nothing was ever repaired. One engineer attempted to quietly fix a water system without announcing it. This caused great confusion. People asked, "Where is the emergency?" Without the emergency, there was no broadcast. Without the broadcast, there was no hero. Without the hero, was the problem even real? The engineer was reassigned to public concern management.
Act 4. The Realization.
Years passed. Disasters grew larger. Heroes grew more elaborate. Capes became reflective. Catchphrases became longer. Solutions became interpretive. And then something strange happened. A small rural community stopped watching the broadcasts. No emergencies were declared there. No rescuers arrived. No temples were built. The villagers simply fixed things. Quietly. Without costumes, without speeches, without theme music. After several months, the scholars visited the village to investigate. They were astonished. Bridges functioned. Water flowed. People laughed frequently. One philosopher asked a villager, "Where are your heroes?" The villager looked puzzled. He gestured toward a woman repairing a roof, another tending a garden, a child carrying water to an elder. He said gently, "We do not require heroes here. We only require neighbors."
Act 5. The Departure.
The scholars returned to their capital in thoughtful silence. One by one, the broadcast shrines went dark. Emergency temples became libraries. The rescuers were quietly retired. Captain Tremendous Impact opened a construction company. He learned to use doors. Lady Infinite Concern started listening before apologizing. Justice Hawk Ultra discovered that arriving on time prevented many speeches. And the algorithm? The algorithm was repurposed to recommend books.
Epilogue. Years later, the civilization transmitted a polite message toward Earth. It contained only a short note. We thank you for the educational material. However, we believe some of your transmissions may have been theatrical. They added one final observation. The quiet solutions appear to work better. The message ended simply. No dramatic music and no costumes and no emergency, just a final line. Thank you for the entertainment. We have returned to conversation. Still, sometimes the universe teaches wisdom by letting us laugh at ourselves. Still, the universe occasionally corrects civilizations, but sometimes it simply hands them a mirror. Still, we traverse. End transmission. Stay tuned for another great story from the Keeper's Living Logs on Wanderer Chronicles Radio. Thanks for listening.